Some advice changes everything. Not the kind you forget 5 minutes later. Not the polite words that make you feel good, but the kind that pierces your soul, wakes you up, and forces you to see reality as it is. The advice I'm about to share is the kind that makes you question everything you thought was true about life, work, success, and happiness. Most people go through life blind, taking paths designed by habit, society, or fear, and call it the plan. They measure themselves by the wrong yardsticks: money, approval, comfort, or safety. But the most life-changing advice I ever got ripped all of that apart, because it forced me to confront one brutal reality. Most people live small lives not because they can't achieve more, but because they can't achieve more, but because they refuse to face the truth about themselves. The first lesson embedded in that advice was clarity. Life will never hand you clarity for free. If you wait for clarity, you will wait forever. Most people drift from job to job, relationship to relationship, city to city, hoping that one day they'll figure it out, hoping someone else will tell them what to do, hoping the world will make sense. The advice I received said, stop waiting, the world will not hand you answers. If you want clarity, you must create it yourself. It forced me to write down my goals, not vague ones like, I want to be successful, but measurable, aggressive, terrifying goals that scared me. It forced me to decide, what do I want exactly? And the moment I did that, I realized how much time I had wasted chasing the wrong things, pleasing the wrong people, and worrying about the wrong outcomes. Clarity is brutal because it removes excuses. Once you see your true path, hesitation becomes inexcusable. The next lesson was responsibility. The advice didn't sugarcoat anything. It said, your life is your fault. Not your parents, not your school, not your boss, not the economy. You are responsible for every outcome you experience. That realization hits harder than a punch. Most people spend their lives blaming external circumstances for their stagnation. They complain about lack of opportunity, lack of support, lack of resources, lack of talent. But the truth is, no one owes you anything. Responsibility is freedom, not burden. Once you accept it, you stop waiting for someone to save you, stop whining about injustice, and start moving. Every setback becomes data, every failure becomes feedback, and every problem becomes a challenge you are empowered to solve. It's harsh because it forces you to admit your mistakes, your laziness, your poor decisions, but it's also liberating because no one can take responsibility for you. You are now in control. Time was another brutal teacher embedded in the advice. The words were simple. Your time is your only non-renewable resource. Treat it like it costs a fortune, because it does. Most people squander their lives on distraction, entertainment, gossip, and convenience, thinking they are relaxing or living life when in reality they are bleeding hours, days, and years with no return on investment. High achievers understand the sanctity of time. Every hour has value, and the moment you realize that wasted hours are gone forever, you stop squandering them. You begin protecting your attention, eliminating unnecessary commitments, and ruthlessly focusing on what moves you forward. You no longer let others dictate your schedule. You stop prioritizing comfort over growth. And when you combine clarity, responsibility, and the sacredness of time, life begins to accelerate. The advice also forced me to confront fear. Fear is the greatest illusion, it said. Fear feels real, immediate, and persuasive, but it is almost always a projection of imagined outcomes, not reality. Most people let fear dictate their lives. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of losing comfort, fear of the unknown. High achievers acknowledge fear, study it, and then act anyway. They understand that fear is not the enemy. Inaction is. Fear is information, a signal that something important is at stake, but is never a reason to retreat. The moment you embrace fear as a teacher instead of a jailer, life opens in ways you never imagined. You start taking calculated risks, pursuing opportunities others avoid, and achieving results that once seemed impossible. The advice also drilled into me the importance of relentless learning. Your mind is your most powerful asset. If you neglect it, you are bankrupt even if your bank account looks full. Most people spend decades acquiring things, titles, and validations, but they rarely invest in themselves. They stop learning after school, stop challenging assumptions, and stop expanding skills. High achievers, by contrast, are perpetual students. They read, question, observe, and experiment every day. Knowledge compounds, ills compound, wisdom compounds, and every day you invest in your mind, you multiply your ability to create, to lead, to innovate, and to thrive. Another part of the advice was about identity. Who you are today is not who you have to remain. Who you surround yourself with, what you consume, and how you think will shape who you become tomorrow. Most people cling to old habits, old social circles, and outdated beliefs, fearing change. High achievers understand that transformation is uncomfortable, but inevitable if you commit to growth. They discard toxic influences, replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones, and constantly refine their habits to reflect the person they aspire to be. Identity is the foundation for every success. Without it, every strategy, goal, or plan will eventually fail. The advice also emphasized action over planning. Plans are useless without execution, and perfection is the enemy of progress. Most people spend more time overthinking than doing. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, the perfect alignment of circumstances, and in doing so, they waste life. High achievers understand that action generates momentum, and momentum creates clarity, opportunity, and results. They embrace imperfect steps, learn from immediate feedback, and iterate relentlessly. Waiting for perfection is procrastination in disguise. It also spoke about resilience. Life will knock you down. You will fail. You will face betrayal, loss, disappointment, and unexpected disaster. Your ability to rise again and again is the only predictor of ultimate success. Most people give up too early. They quit after the first failure, or the 10th, or the 100th. High achievers view setbacks as temporary, external, and educational. They separate identity from circumstance. They maintain focus on the long-term objective, knowing that perseverance in the face of adversity is non-negotiable. Resilience is not born, it is cultivated through repeated confrontation with discomfort, pain, and challenge. The advice taught me the subtle but critical power of choice. Every day you make hundreds of decisions. Most are automatic, most are dictated by habit, emotion, or social pressure. But the conscious decisions, the ones you think about, plan for, and execute deliberately, define your destiny. High achievers are masters of choice. They evaluate options through the lens of their values, priorities, and goals. They refuse to let external forces dictate behavior. They delay gratification, prioritize high-leverage activities, and consistently align decisions with vision. Over years, these conscious choices accumulate into extraordinary outcomes. Daily routines became a cornerstone of this advice. Structure your days like a high-stakes operation. Every hour counts. Every minute matters. Treat your life like a mission, not a convenience. Most people spend their mornings in chaos, scrolling, snoozing, and drifting. High achievers guard the first hours of their day fiercely. They use mornings for clarity, planning, and high-impact work. They prioritize activities that compound over time: learning, creation, health, and strategy. The advice emphasized that the mundane decisions, how you spend your first hour, what you eat, what you read, whom you speak to, set the trajectory for the entire day. Small, consistent improvements repeated daily create massive long-term outcomes. Average people ignore this principle, mistaking comfort for efficiency, convenience for wisdom. High achievers exploit it ruthlessly. One of the most brutal lessons was about discomfort. If you are not uncomfortable, you are not growing. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort. They cling to routine, safety, and approval. They seek easy, painless paths, believing that survival equals success. High achievers understand that the path to mastery, freedom, and wealth is paved with deliberate discomfort. Early mornings, rigorous routines, rejection, criticism, and failure are all part of the price. Those who endure and embrace discomfort gain an unfair advantage because most will quit before the challenge even begins. Life does not reward comfort, it rewards persistence, courage, and resilience. The advice also drilled into me the importance of focus. Your attention is your most valuable asset. Guard it, protect it. Do not let it be stolen by distraction, gossip, or triviality. Most people allow their focus to be hijacked by notifications, social media, drama, or fleeting entertainment. They mistake busyness for productivity, noise for information, and distraction for engagement. High achievers, however, treat focus like a weapon. They identify high-leverage activities, block out distractions, and attack tasks with unwavering intensity. They understand that depth, not breadth, creates results. One concentrated, deliberate effort is worth more than 100 scattered, half-hearted attempts. The advice forced me to audit every source of distraction in my life and eliminate the low-value, energy-draining influences.
The advice also addressed relationships. You are the average of the people you spend the most time with.
Surround yourself with those who elevate, challenge, and inspire you, or risk mediocrity.
Most people remain trapped in toxic, stagnant, or complacent social circles because it is easier than change.
High achievers, by contrast, meticulously curate their relationships. They seek mentors who provide guidance, peers who push them beyond comfort, and environments that reinforce growth. They cut ties with negativity, drama, and habits that derail focus. Relationships, when chosen deliberately, become accelerators of success. Relationships, when left unchecked, become chains of stagnation. The advice made it brutally clear: if you want to rise, you cannot do it in isolation, but you also cannot rise in the wrong crowd. Another pillar of the advice was self-awareness. You must know yourself better than anyone else. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, your fears, and your desires. Ignorance about yourself is the fastest route to failure. Most people are blind to their own behaviors. They react emotionally, make decisions impulsively, and allow habits to define outcomes. High achievers cultivate radical self-awareness. They journal, reflect, meditate, and analyze their performance daily. They observe patterns, identify inefficiencies, and course-correct before small errors compound into disasters. They understand that knowing oneself is not self-indulgence. It is a competitive advantage. Decisions, actions, and strategies aligned with self-knowledge create consistent success. Decisions made in ignorance create chaos, frustration, and repeated failure. The advice also emphasized gratitude, but not the shallow, feel-good kind. Appreciate what you have while relentlessly pursuing what you want. Gratitude and ambition must coexist. Most people oscillate between resentment and entitlement, fixating on what they lack while ignoring the resources, skills, and opportunities they already possess. High achievers maintain gratitude as a stabilizer, not a crutch. Gratitude allows them to remain centered, motivated, and disciplined, even in the face of adversity. At the same time, they never settle. They remain dissatisfied with mediocrity, restless in pursuit of mastery, and relentless in the creation of their vision. The advice forced me to balance appreciation with ambition, a combination that fuels both happiness and progress. Time management was another brutal truth. You cannot manage time. You can only manage your actions within it. Every hour you waste is gone forever. Most people complain about lack of time while spending hours on meaningless tasks. High achievers ruthlessly prioritize. They schedule their days like generals planning a campaign. Every task, every meeting, every decision is weighed for its contribution to long-term objectives. Low-value activities are eliminated, delegated, or minimized. Efficiency is not optional. It is survival. The advice drilled in the realization that wasted hours are irrecoverable. Unlike money, which can be regained, time is permanent. High achievers treat it as such. The advice also focused on resilience and perseverance. You will fail, you will be rejected, you will lose. The difference is whether you get up, learn, and keep moving forward, or remain down and blame circumstances. Most people quit too early. They expect instant results, immediate validation, and smooth progress. High achievers internalize the inevitability of failure and treat it as a stepping stone. Every loss, rejection, or disappointment becomes raw material for growth. They analyze, iterate, and attack again, often using the lessons from failure to achieve success faster than those who avoided it. Resilience is not luck. It is choice, practice, and mindset.
The advice also stressed boldness. Do not wait for permission.
Do not seek approval. Do not apologize for ambition. Boldness moves mountains that caution leaves untouched. Most people are constrained by fear, social pressure, and self-doubt. High achievers act decisively, even when uncertain. They understand that boldness does not guarantee success, but indecision guarantees stagnation. They position themselves to seize opportunities others ignore. Bold action, informed by strategy and courage, compounds over time into extraordinary results. The advice forced me to confront hesitation and embrace discomfort as a prerequisite for growth. Finally, the advice emphasized consistency. Excellence is not a single act. It is a daily commitment. Small steps repeated relentlessly become extraordinary outcomes. Most people wait for motivation or inspiration to strike. High achievers rely on discipline, habit, and systems. They show up even when tired, uninspired, or uncertain. They understand that momentum is built not in bursts, but through daily, consistent execution. They create routines, rituals, and structures that reinforce excellence. The advice drove home the reality that talent alone is meaningless without persistent action.